wondered how the Ninth and 10th Amendments play into the separation of powers doctrine? Well, let's dive into the Ninth Amendment first. This interesting little piece of text is all about protecting the rights of the people. It's like the Constitution's way of saying, hey, just because we didn't list a right here doesn't mean it doesn't exist. You see, when the Constitution was being written, there was a lot of debate about which rights to include. Some people thought they should list out every single right, but others pointed out that it would be impossible to list all of them. So, they came up with the Ninth Amendment as a sort of catch-all for any rights they might have missed. The Ninth Amendment reads, "The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people." In simpler terms, it's saying that just because a certain right isn't specifically mentioned in the Constitution, it doesn't mean that the people don't have that right. It's a way to ensure that the government can't trample on the rights of the people just because they aren't explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. This amendment plays a crucial role in defining the powers of the people. It emphasizes that the people's rights aren't limited to just what's written in the Constitution. It's a safeguard, a shield that protects individual freedoms from being infringed upon by the government. Now, let's shift gears to the 10th Amendment. This piece of legislation is like the wild card in a deck of cards, giving states a unique kind of freedom. It says that powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively, or to the people. This essentially means that the states have the liberty to govern and make rules in areas where the federal government doesn't exercise its power. The word respectively in the 10th Amendment is the key that unlocks each state's individuality. It's like a permission slip that allows states to have their own unique rules and regulations. It's as if the Founding Fathers were saying, hey states, you're not the same and we know it, so go ahead, make your own rules, do it your way. Now, you may wonder, isn't this a recipe for chaos? Well, not exactly. While it does allow for diversity and uniqueness among the states, it also sets a boundary. It's like a parent telling their children, you can play in the yard, but don't go beyond the fence. The fence here is the Constitution, which sets the limits on what powers the states can exercise. This respectively clause also comes with a powerful implication. It means that every state, no matter how big or small, has the right to govern in its own unique way. It's like the Constitution is saying, hey Texas, you do you, and you, Rhode Island, you do you too. This ensures that no state is left out, and every state gets a fair chance to govern in its own way. However, it's not just about the states. The 10th Amendment also reserves powers to the people. This means that the citizens have the right to influence the laws and policies that govern their lives. It's like the Constitution is telling the people, hey, you have a say in this too. Thus, the 10th Amendment gives states the freedom to govern in areas where the federal government doesn't exercise its power. It ensures a balance of power between the states and the federal government, and most importantly, it empowers the people. It's like the Constitution's way of saying, here's your power, use it wisely. But how does this all tie into the separation of powers doctrine, you might ask? Well, let's dive into that. The separation of powers doctrine is like a finely tuned balancing act, ensuring that no single entity gains too much control. In the context of the 9th and 10th Amendments, the separation of powers doctrine helps define the administrative powers. The 10th Amendment gives the states the power to manage all the nitty-gritty details of daily life, like education, infrastructure, and taxation. Each state does this in its own way. Or, to use that fancy word again, it's like each state is given a piece of the nation's puzzle to handle on its own. On the other hand, the 9th Amendment is all about the people. It ensures that the people hold the power in their hands and safeguards the rights that aren't explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. It's a reminder that the Constitution serves the people, not the other way around. So you can see the separation of powers is not just about dividing responsibilities between the federal and state governments. It's also about maintaining a balance between the powers held by the states and the people. The states can't infringe upon the rights of the people, and the people in turn can check the powers of the states. This constant push and pull ensures that power is distributed and not concentrated. However, this balance isn't always perfect. States may try to overstep their bounds, or citizens may feel their rights are being infringed upon. That's why it's crucial for everyone to understand their rights and responsibilities. Knowledge is power, and the more we understand about our system of government, the better equipped we are to protect our rights and freedoms. But remember, the separation of powers doctrine isn't just a concept in a dusty old book. It's a living, breathing part of our Republican form of government, guaranteed in Article 4 of the Constitution that impacts our lives daily. It's a reminder that power belongs to the people and the states, and not just to a central authority. So, while it can be a complex system, the separation of powers ensures a balance of power and prevents any one entity from having too much control. Let's summarize what we've learned today. We've navigated through the complex landscape of the 9th and 10th Amendments. The 9th Amendment, you'll recall, is like a safety net, protecting the individual rights not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution. It's a reminder that the people hold more rights than the ones listed, and it's there to protect us from government overreach. Then there's the 10th Amendment, which defines the powers of the states. It's a bit like a rule book for a game of power, where powers not given to the federal government are reserved to the states or the people. And all this plays a crucial role in the separation of powers doctrine. It's a balancing act, ensuring that no single entity has too much control. It's about keeping things fair and just. Remember, understanding our Constitution and the balance of power it promotes is key to being a well-informed sui juris person